Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. Yeah. You are now tuned into the Matthew Rizzle show. Yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. Yeah. You are now tuned into the Matthew Rizzle show. Yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. You are now tuned into the Matthew Rizzle show. Yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. You are now tuned into the Matthew Rizzle show. Yeah.
Hey everyone, before we begin this week's episode of the Matthew and Rizzle Show, just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Proof of Beauty. Proof of Beauty is an experimental digital experience studio. The blockchain is their canvas and the tokens are their brush. You can learn more about Proof of Beauty by checking out pob.studio. You can follow them on Twitter as well at PRRF Beauty. That's PRRF Beauty on Twitter and pob.studio on their homepage to learn more about their projects like Hash, London, and Publico. Thank you and enjoy the show.
Okay, Cryptoyuna, welcome to the Matthew and Rizzle Show.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Yeah, same here. And God, you're another person that I feel like our paths have crossed innumerable times on Twitter, in the space. We have so many mutual friends and acquaintances, and I'm sure like our collections like really, really overlap deeply. But this is the first time being able to chat with you. So I'm super excited. But for everyone else, I'm just wondering if you can kind of kick things off and tell us a little bit about your background, who you are, like your extensive artistic practice, and then like what brought you into the space to begin with?
Sure. So I am a mom of 3 kids, and I homeschool all of them. And I have been doing artwork for the past 20 years and doing the circuit, going to the art fairs, hauling on my work out of state and my kids, nursing and doing that. And it gets really tiring and old. So I do all kinds of paintings. I really like animal paintings and things like that. I've done portraits. I started out with acrylics, and the open time on acrylics was frustrating me, and I really wanted to learn oil painting, and so I did. And I got over to the Draw Mix Paint Forum by Mark Carter out of Austin, Texas. And he has a whole line of paints called Geneva oils that are non-toxic. So that was perfect for me. They don't give you headaches. And with the kids around, you never know what they're going to get into.
Oh, yeah.
So I've done that for a long time, and airbrushing and things like that. And I was just kind of tired of trying to travel with all of that and looking for a better way to sell art. If you can do it from home and with low overhead, then in raising kids and not having to put that on hold forever. A lot of mothers put their art careers on hold because they're raising a family. It just takes a lot out of you. And I was also into cryptocurrencies. We knew about Bitcoin, early on, but we didn't buy into anything until it really started booming around 2018. And my husband's like, maybe we should try this out. And we had some savings, and we just kind of figured, we'll just take this, and if we lose it, we lose it. We kind of went with that mindset. So we bought Litecoin. We bought 3 of them. And then literally the day after we bought it, it all crashed. So 2018 wrecked, lost it all. I mean,
proper initiation.
It was exactly that. It's like we learned the hard way. We were right there with everybody and just watched it go down, and we're like, what is happening? We didn't really understand the market. We didn't understand the bulls and the bears. I mean, total noobs going into it. Here's a chunk of change, and wrecked, all of it. And my husband was done. He's like, I'm out of this crypto stupid stuff, And he's like, you do what you want with it. So I just sat there, and I'm like, well, I guess we just wait till it goes back up. It's going to go back up, right? And I just kind of tried to learn. And the quickest way you can learn is what the time was getting on Twitter and listening to all those crypto people, like Satoshi Flipper and little Low Moon Lambo and learning from them and learning the market. That was the fastest way for me. And so then I started like, I'm out of this Litcoin. What's Chainlink? What's Matic and all this other stuff. So I started getting into those coins. And then you start watching your feed and NFTs hashtags and cryptoart hashtag specifically popped up. And it was by Robness. And I didn't know him, and it just was random on my feed. And I was like, what is cryptoart? I'd never heard of that. That sounds cool. I realized I could sell my artwork for crypto. Win-win, ding, ding. I can stay home, Then I was like, well, where are you people doing this? How do I get involved in this? And so I kind of did a little bit of stalking of tweets of what platforms are all these people doing this on, and got to know Robness. And the easiest way to do it at the time was be on Rarible, because it was, you just get on there and do it. And so I'm always about diving in head first, learning as I go. And so we did that. And then the other platforms, submissions and things like that, applying, I just wanted the quickest way to get on there. I didn't want to go that route. I wanted to go directly to people and say, put me on there. So I did. I went to Sasha Bailey and said, can you add me to Blockchain Art Exchange? Done. In. I found Telegram, got on there, and I started asking the main people. That's how you did it in those days. Sorry about the kids in the background.
That's okay.
Yeah, Telegram, you just get to know them, and you kind of jumped past all the submission stuff. So Maker's Place went on Discord, asked Danny and Aisha to add me on there. Danny got back with me. Yeah, you're in. And then David Moore on Telegram. Yep, you're in. So it was really at that time period where you could do that. You can't really do that anymore. Yep. And that's how I got started on all this in 2020. It took me a little bit to mint. I was here in 2019, but I was kind of learning and watching and seeing what people were doing. And so I minted early 2020, my first one.
What a great story. I mean, I feel like that it so embodies like the early days of this space where like the only way to like really learn and figure out how to do anything, you just had to like get your hands dirty and like sort of get in the weeds and, figure out like, what exactly is going on here. And I feel like that attracts like a certain type of mentality that a lot of the new people, for better or for worse, like, coming into the scene, at this point, there's sort of like a roadmap and a blueprint and like, some history of like, how people have been successful to like reflect upon. But those like early like sandbox days where like everything was just sort of being unpacked simultaneously by like a handful of people was just like so fun.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself like now within the space now that things have like, gone so crazy over the past like year and a half or so? Like, what's your take on, being able to still go direct to people and that kind of thing?
I think that's a sad loss, to be honest. I mean, it was bound to happen. It was bound to explode. We all knew that was coming, and now it's so huge. That connection, that little camaraderie, you felt like a little tight-knit group, a family, and you just knew everybody and you could just directly talk to them. You lose that. Even now, like I still know all the people to contact, but everybody's so busy. They don't have time to get to every single person. That's why there's the submission forms and teams and stuff like that now. So it's just all changed. It's different.
Yeah, a lot really, really has changed. But I mean, the core group of folks that, we came up with, it's really cool to keep checking in with them. And like, as time goes by and COVID kind of dissipates, knock on wood, like meeting up IRL has like added a whole rich layer to the experience. But I was curious. I wanted to kind of go back in time a little further. I know you're part of Woka, Women of Crypto Art. And I know about it, but I'm wondering if you can kind of like talk about like the genesis of Woka and then kind of take us to the present, like let us know if Woka is still doing big things, what they have planned, that sort of thing.
Okay. So Woka, so we're talking again, I think it's 2020. And, there's a lot of guys in the space. And so I wanted to kind of find where some other moms were, some other women, just to bounce off. How are you juggling taking care of your family, doing this and running all this stuff? I needed kind of that sounding board for myself. I wanted to reach out and find them. And I knew they were there. I just didn't know where everybody was. And so I made a tweet that us girls got to stick together. And Stina Jones and Sparrow had just created a DM in Twitter, a group. And they're like, hey, we're going to make an all-girls group over here, all-female women's group. And do you want to be part of it? I said, yeah, let's do that. And Angie Taylor had already made a list of women in the space. And so she was in that group, and we just started inviting everyone from that list, and they all showed up. And then we're like, this is great. We didn't realize there were so many. And so Angie's like, I have a gallery space in Crypto Voxels. Let's do an all women's art exhibition. So within 2 weeks of that group forming, we had our first art exhibition called She Art. And we're like, we set up a Discord, and within like less than a month, there was 1,000 women on it. It was pretty wild, fast, and crazy, and it was exciting. And so the group was named Women of Crypto Art, WOCA, and set up Twitter, set up Instagram, just set up all these places. And our goal was to help onboard more women, but worldwide, when, there's tons of artists, but try to teach them NFTs and that they can be at home. They can do this. They can, get out there. And so that's kind of how that's set up in all languages and Discord and groups. And they've set up a DAO now. I mean, yeah, there's a lot going on over there. They did off and on. They do like async. They'll do like a whole layered collection and stuff. And you can choose to be part of these different things going on. Like there'll be collabs or there'll be events. And so everybody there, it's kind of posted and you can kind of see what's available to take part in. And there's a website and stuff too.
Oh, awesome. That was such like a huge contributor early in the space. As you're like talking about it, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, man, it's amazing. Like DAOs like weren't really, I mean, they were in existence, but weren't like really a thing when WOCA was created in the first place. But you could see how that was like an early DAO, like in its inception, and how it would like go down that road.
Yeah.
You're hearing you talk earlier, like about your past, like doesn't surprise me too much. It seems like you dabble and have dabbled in like a little bit of everything, like, artistic styles, crypto, the combination of the two. And, like we were saying, like being sort of unafraid to get your hands dirty.
I'm pretty eclectic. I don't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I didn't hear what you said. It cut out.
Oh, no, I was just saying, everything you've got going on, like you said, is like extremely eclectic. And you're willing to get your hands dirty and like try new things. And I feel like that's, been one of your like hallmark, I don't know, traits or whatever that I think of when I think of you, like always experimenting and doing different things. It's funny hearing you say like how you used to reach out to people directly, because I know you haven't like necessarily stopped doing that entirely, because every now and again I see you tweet at someone and you're like, hey, so-and-so, like, why aren't you following me? Or like,
I know. I am very much not afraid to just go to who I want to speak to and talk to them directly. And I don't care if they have a blue check mark. I don't care if they have millions of followers. They're a person and I'm a person, and I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to talk to you. If you ignore me, great, fine, whatever. But for the most part, it surprises me. They come back in DMs and like, hey, what do you need? Hey, blah, 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 and it's like, I don't know why people don't do that more often. Just go directly to who you want to speak to.
It's so great. Is there anyone that you were like really surprised to get a response from, or got like a surprising response from, or has it been like a little bit of everything?
Paris Hilton. I mean, she's actually we've talked in DMs and stuff like that. And then also I wanted to connect with Animoca Brands, and I wanted to speak to somebody over there. So I Googled them. I found out who the CEO was, and I went to Yatsu and made a tweet and said, I want to talk to you. And so he got with me in a DM, and he's like, what do you need?
So great.
Yeah, I don't want to run around wasting time. I want to get to the point.
I love that. It's such a fresh approach. And again, like it embodies how close like the internet and then specifically like crypto has really, really brought us.
Yeah.
Like, especially as everything's blown up, it's been crazy to see like, the big names kind of come in here, but it's really cool to see folks like, again, like a lot of people throw shade on Paris, but Paris has been here for a moment and like she talks, she interacts, like she's part of it, like in her own way, right?
Come in and leave. She's building things and she's really nice. Yeah. I mean, she really is. And, you know, another person I've talked to is Gary Vee. I mean, like I kind of stuck my foot in my mouth when he came into this space because it was at the time period where we had seen celebrities come in, but they were just putting off that vibe that just everybody kind of rejected, you know, like what are you doing here? You just dropping something and then ghosting the space. What's the point? And so I kind of had like an attitude when I first saw him, poor Gary. I was just like, you know, kind of a little bit not nice about it. And he came back and he was so nice to me. I'm like, oh, great. You know? So we talked, and then what resulted from that was pretty incredible. Decline set up podcasts that week and got with Gary on it, and then with me, and then Gary's like sent me over to Tyler Schmidt, who is one of his main guys with 1:37 p.m. And so I actually did a face-to-face Zoom with him, and he's like, we want the history. That was what impressed me too. Gary didn't just come in. He was studying. He really wanted to know. And he's like, they wanted to know what trash art was. They wanted to know all this woka, and they wanted me to sit down and just talk to them. And they were taking notes and researching and going to places and talking to people. And so then Tyler's like, hey, do you want to write articles for 137? I was like, sure, let's do that too. And so I got in there and started freelancing that way. And it was just crazy. But that's how that started. Just sticking my foot in my mouth.
Yeah. I mean, and taking action, right? I mean, putting your foot in your mouth is definitely an action. And it's really, really cool how people respond. And they reach out, you get in the DMs, like these opportunities arise, and you just kind of like, you keep taking the opportunities, and these new opportunities arise from there. It's part of what makes the whole space so magical for me, at least. And it's so cool to see that like, it works for other people as well. You mentioned trash art. I want to get it from your perspective. Like, where were you when trash art first happened? And like, how has it come to relate to your work today? And then I want to ask a follow-up question after that.
Okay. So I was on Telegram with everybody. And my idea at the time was I need to learn how to do digital quickly. You know, coming from painting on canvas, it wasn't really resonating with the community. It was more glitchy, vaporware, photo moshing stuff. And I hadn't been very familiar with the iPad or apps and stuff. And so I wanted to make kind of a workshop group where artists bounce off stuff on one another and, hey, this is what I'm doing, or collab. And so I made a little group and invited some of them. It turned out to be some of the trash artists, you know, Mo, Rob, Eric, all these guys. And we became friends, and we were just goofing off in that Telegram thing, you know, posting even pictures of ourselves, videos. Shaolin Shop would play music and read. And so that was that little friendship there, that community. And Rob, you know, had gotten booted for the toter, and it was just so stupid. I mean, it really was. That's just ridiculous. and the copyright stuff. And I just thought that was dumb, because what is art? Why can't we mint this stuff? Everybody's minting whatever. Who's making up these rules and this gatekeeping stuff? And why can't we just have fun? Why can't everybody relax? And that was the time period of having fun and experimenting and learning, where we could push NFTs and stuff. So we kind of did a little rebellion there and laughed about it. Rarible was so free. You could do anything. As an artist, you just felt super free. Mm-hmm. And as soon as there was something said on Twitter, we minted jokes about it, or we were like, you know what, I'm going to do this. Somebody said, no, you can't remix this. And then we would remix each other's work. Mm-hmm. And it all became part of the trash art movement, where we just rebelled against all that. We didn't really know we were in a movement. We're just friends having fun and supporting each other, and things were stressful or frustrating, and we'd mint it, talk about it, laugh about it. It wasn't always great, because people that did have opinions about that, valid opinions, would get bashed too. So there was what felt like a lot of tension in the space. So there was good and bad on both sides of the trash artist and non-trash artist. Things said back and forth. Thankfully, everybody got over it. We're all friends again, and most everybody, even if they're not friends, respect one another or disagree. It's okay to disagree and have your own opinions and stuff. So I think that's where, and then trash art kind of took off on its own. Other people, making it their own for their own reasons and stuff. For me, it doesn't have to be a toter if it's in the spirit of trash art. I say the spirit of trash art in that maybe more rebellious, maybe more pushing the boundaries, maybe, kind of bucking up against the system. Or if something I don't agree with, or I just feel frustrated, I can let it out and create a new trash artwork. And that kind of solves that frustration for me. I put that in, so sometimes even now I'll put toters in or something if I'm just really aggravated on something.
I love that. You mentioned that there's a point in time when there's friction or things are getting a little more fractious and people are kind of fighting it a little bit or whatever, but they kind of got back together. But recently, one of the most tragic things happened in this space, and I think as it relates to trash art, with Robness and Max Osiris having their fallout, at least publicly. That was just sad to me. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you don't have to comment on it if you want, but I just feel like it's this yet another chapter in one of the most interesting stories within crypto art, this trash art phenomenon and movement. What does this breakup, quote unquote, between Robness and Max mean to you?
That breakup is between them. Mm-hmm. And so I'll leave it with them and just say that I'm still friends with both of them and still respect them equally. And it's sad that they parted ways, but they who knows? Maybe they'll make up later. You never know in this space. So I just let those guys duke it out. Whatever, go for it. It's like take it out back and get it over with. Have your little fight. Kind of that sort of thing. That's them. Nothing surprises me.
I got a random question, sort of switching gears here for a second, but one of the reasons this transpired, aside from it being long overdue, was I know you're involved in this project that is for a good cause. It's sort of a tragic, not sort of, it is a tragic situation about Ania. I'm not positive I'm saying her name 100% correctly, but there's a lot of people who you already mentioned during this podcast involved in that as well. Can you tell people a little bit about what is going on with all of that, basically?
Yeah. So Anaya Blanchard.
Anaya, thank you.
Yeah. Zena, the PR for Vinny Paz, I think I'm saying his name right, UFC fighter. She's good friends with Angela Harris and Walt Harris. Walt Harris is the UFC heavyweight champion. And anyway, so all of that community. She reached out to me and said that they were looking for an artist. They had seen my artwork. They were looking for an artist to do a special work, an honorable work in Anaya Blanchard's memory. And then they told me the story. Anaya Blanchard was 19 years old, and she was in college, and she left her parents' house, and before heading back to her dorm, she stopped to get a bag of chips. And somebody that was a dangerous criminal and shouldn't have been out was out on bail, saw her in the convenience store, grabbed her in the parking lot, kidnapped and murdered her. And it took a month for the family to even know what happened to her before her remains were found. So this was a very high-profile event. It was on 48 Hours. It was all over the news, national news. They were looking for her for that month. And so they set up a nonprofit foundation in her memory, which is called Anaya's Heart. And the nonprofit is to teach situational awareness, self-protection, and to support the search, rescue, and recovery teams on this. So when they contacted me, I didn't even have to really think about my answer. It was an automatic yes, because my brother was shot and killed in 2012. And I knew how devastating that is to get, unexpected news of a family member killed. And my sister had also been in search and rescue with the canine unit. And I know the hours they spend doing that and then training the dogs and stuff like that. So it was something that really struck a nerve with me, and resonated. So I sat down with Angela and Walt and went over what could we do? They weren't in NFTs. They hadn't really heard about it. And I said, I am an NFT artist. I can also do a portrait work, but I would really like to mint this and send it to your wallet. And so they were, kind of new to that. And I'm like, we can do all kinds of things. This community, if we reach out, I know for a fact the artists will come together and I want to support this. And we could even do a charity event or an auction or something, for your nonprofit. So that's what we did. We set up, and I just started reaching out to people in this space that I knew would want to take part of that. And we wanted to get a gallery space to show this work. And I'm part of the Graffiti Queens volunteers for that exhibition. And so during April 3rd through the 10th, we're going to also be exhibiting this work that everybody did for this nonprofit, Anaya's Heart. And Sugar Club had the perfect gallery space. It's by the ocean in cryptovoxels. It's light and airy, calming, sand floor. So you'll be able to see that artwork and learn more about the nonprofit. And Angela got really sick recently and has been in the hospital. And so we've slowly been helping her set up a wallet. And when that gets set up, we'll send her the NFTs. And whatever they choose to do from it at that point, it's up to them. I'm not going to, ask them to auction it or anything if she wants to keep that. That's her daughter's art and artwork of her daughter. So whatever they decide, we'll just support that. If they choose to do a charity auction later, maybe we'll help out on that. But we're kind of taking it slow and just letting them rest in recovery. And the trial's still set. So it's a long, drawn-out process trying to get justice for her. But they were able to affect change a law in Alabama. It's called the Anaya's Heart's Law. And it does not allow criminals that are a danger to the community to be out on bond anymore.
Yeah, it's absolutely tragic. But again, people like yourself coming together on the internet, trying to draw awareness and just kind of console. parties that have been affected. It's one of those bittersweet things. It's so sad that like it's arisen out of that tragedy. But what you're doing there, it's such a bright light for other people to see, and kind of if in their life something similar happens, I mean, hopefully the community around them will respond in the same way, or hopefully they'll respond in the same way for impacted party that's close to them. And sort of in that vein, like, how are you looking at the space from a really high level? Like, I mean, you're a mom, I'm a dad, Rizzle's a dad. We all have little ones running around. Like, how are you thinking about the space in relation to like the next generations?
I think that they're going to do great. My daughter already has me minting her work, and I have it for sale, and she'll get that money if it sells. But, they're excited and interested in that. And that's a way for them to take part. And they're going to be so much better at this stuff than we are. I mean, they already understand it just instantly, where it took me, forever to learn how to do this stuff. They just get it. It clicks. So all these kids growing up, it's just going to come natural and easy to them, and they'll be building so much bigger things.
What, just out of curiosity, like, what do you have? Like, it sounds like you're like a lot of us, where you have like a lot of things going on simultaneously and dabble in like a lot of different things. Like, what's a day in the life of Yuna like these days? Do you have like a handful of things that you're like take up your primary attention, or are you doing a little bit of everything? Like, what's the main focus these days?
In my personal life, I homeschool 3 kids, so there's most of my brain cells gone right there. That's where my focus goes, trying to teach them at home. And then helping with my husband's construction business. So there's all of that. That's a lot of time and attention. Then also trying to promote myself, mint my work, and then I'm taking part of projects. I actually need to rein in a little bit on some of this stuff, because I think I spread myself too thin, because I'm so quick to say, yes, sure, what do you need? Let's do it and stuff, that I've got to really stop taking so much on. But yeah, in NFTs, I still have my own PFP project, the Lost Avatars, to promote and get out there. I have my own artwork on different platforms. I'm part of exhibitions. Then there's, interviews and things like that. And then articles, people still wanting to write articles on stuff. So I kind of lose my mind a little bit sometimes with all the stress of it, but it's also exciting, I think you just have to go with the flow and see where it all leads. And if doors open up, I try to walk through them.
Dude, I feel like of anyone I think we've ever spoke to, you're one of the most proactive door openers, like on your own behalf. Like, I feel like every single like story has like this common thread where you were just like, well, so I just reached out to them. It's like it started assembling a team. Like, obviously that's just like what people do. No, but it's so great. I mean, your ability to be proactive, honestly, and open doors for yourself is just so great to hear, like story after story with that like same type of theme.
So, the next thing I wanted to ask you, of course, like everyone's doing all the things and like making sure that we don't stretch ourselves too thin. I think that's a really common kind of feature of the space. But outside of that, like if you're thinking about crypto art specifically, or just like crypto and NFTs more generally, is there anything, any tool, any like attitude, anything like this that is currently not in the space, or is like severely lacking, that you think if something changed and a certain attitude was more prevalent, or a tool appeared that would greatly improve like your life and the lives of others in the space? Anything like that?
What I'd really like is to not have to be on Twitter to promote my art and NFTs. I'm kind of sick of that. There's so much noise going on there. I really would like a specific platform for promoting that without everything else. But it's where it's at. It's like the hub, you know? I mean, I do put it on Instagram, but then you've got so many ads and bots over there too, and it's not really the right feel for NFT community. So, and then I don't like Discord. There's like 100 little different Discords in my link, and it's all like notices and things like that. I just can't stand it. I get tired of that, and I don't want to jump in everywhere. So we need something new in this space.
Yeah. I mean, why do you not like the promotion on Twitter so much? I'm curious about that.
It comes with everything else. It's like, I don't know. It's just so many opinions and so many, you know, there's a lot of chatter about all kinds of stuff. And I just would rather filter through that and get to the point. You know, you do make a lot of connections and stuff, but then you have a lot of scam artists. And you have it's so much. It's overwhelming.
Yeah, I feel that, the overwhelmingness, and then just everyone kind of doing the same thing with the promotion sort of dilutes it. And then you're not really able to talk about the art specifically. It's about the selling of the art or the transactional nature. That's the part that I wish there was a better place to discuss that nuance. I feel like it's coming. I feel like we had it for a minute over at Scent, where artists were talking about the work and people could engage in conversation that was a little less like frantic and frenetic below, like not as crazy as Discord is, not as like shilly or shallow as Twitter. Like that sort of middle ground is definitely something that needs to come back, but it's tough because the whole world, I mean, not the whole world, but like such a large portion of the space is on Twitter, and every day it seems like more people are coming onto Twitter to connect. So like that connection is hugely important, but I feel you.
I sometimes feel like Twitter is a time robber. Like it just is robbing so much of my time being on there. I would like it to do less of that. And one of a really big artist once told me, talking to your friends is great. Bouncing ideas off of other artists is great, but they're not necessarily your collectors. So how much time are you spending that versus reward? You know, I really have to stop and think, you know, is this paying off? Not always, but it's the only way I know to get the art scene to the right community.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I feel like no matter how good of an artist you are, you're, you know, especially within crypto, you're at a significant like disadvantage if you have no social media game like at all. It's just like so critical to your stuff being seen, and I don't know how you sort of like avoid that trap unless you like, you know, really have a strong collector base that has like, you know, established a community amongst themselves or something over time. It's like a tough thing to get, a tough cycle to get out of, I guess. What you said you're on Instagram too. Like, what do you like have a routine? Like when you're like, I know you had your PFP project, you've got like a lot of different art in a lot of different places. Like, has something worked better than others when it comes to like getting your stuff out there, like showcasing it or trying to get it in front of people's faces?
It's funny. Most of my sales will come from Twitter. Like you can't even just really, I'd like to put it on the platform and just be able to sell it without having to be the promotional person, you know, constantly work that, but you can't. So without posting it to Twitter, that's where most of my sales have come. Like they'll see it on Twitter, then they'll click the link, go buy it. Instagram's fine. It's great. No sales have come for that. You can't really click the links anyways, which is frustrating, you know. And, but there is a community over there. So like for Graffiti Queens, I posted the invite to TikTok. I posted it to Twitter, posted it to Instagram. Suddenly people that weren't on Twitter at all applied to be part of the exhibition, and they did it from Instagram. Like that's their social and stuff. So it is interesting that it is expanding I just don't know that it's the right way to go about it. Instagram and NFTs haven't really mixed very well before.
Yeah, it was really surprising for me to learn that there was like an NFT community over at Instagram, like when I realized that was a thing or whatever. I guess not surprisingly because it's so visual, but it just didn't seem like there were many people that I knew who were, participating in it. We love to ask our guests what kind of things they collect. Like if we were to intrusively open your crypto wallet, have you been collecting recently? Are there like certain artists or projects that you're a big fan of and have acquired, or what's in your wallet over there?
Most of the things in my wallet was sold because I needed to pay bills. So but good that it sold for more, and I collected good things at the time. You're going to find a Super Yeti there. I just can't get rid of it. I mean, I've got offers on it, but it's so nostalgic.
It is. It's got like it's so bad it's good vibes.
Yes. It's just hilarious. So I like funny things like that. And I still have, I have my very first NFT ever bought. I bought that from Mohini, and it's just my favorite thing in my entire wallet. And it's this little stick figure guy, and he's dancing on a billboard. And if you play the music, it's just so good. She's such a good artist anyways, but I love that piece. And I also have some things. I have some gifts that were given to me by Skipper Jim X. He created me a couple things personally for me. One's a card of koi swimming, and then he sent me some gems. And I also have a marble card someone made for me specifically. And, that's a collectible. I don't think I'll ever get rid of that. I mean, I may have it for sale. Some things I need to really go back and just take off, but it costs money to, take them off. So there's my dilemma. I have things that mean stuff to me, or memories created with people. And when I collect things that I like. I don't collect to flip. I've tried that before. You can do it, but I know that I prefer to collect things that I just really like, people that I like, or things, that have a special meaning.
Right on.
Collect what you love, and the tokenized memories that we're kind of collecting and curating. I love that approach. And I don't know about you, but I love kind of like scrolling through what I've collected, and it just takes me back, like to the people, to the places for some of the works.
Historic moment. Yeah.
100%. Well, before we do wrap up, I want to make sure that you share your social handles, like for better or worse, like it's the best place for people to find you still. Let people know your Twitter handle, your IG handle, websites that you think they should know. And again, like any upcoming dates that people should be aware of before we wrap up.
So I am most everywhere: Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook. You'll find Cryptoyuna. So that's just where I'm at. I'm on most platforms: Known Origin, Maker's Place, Rarible, Blockchain Art Exchange, everywhere but Super Rare. But got a backdoor into that now that 3 of those guys got back on there. They're already starting to collab with me. So, but and then the main event coming up is the Graffiti Queens, 2nd annual all-women art exhibition, April 3rd through the 10th. We're going to be in Decentraland and Cryptovoxel's galleries. There are over 200 artists and well over 400 artworks to be seen. Lots of galleries, many expos inside of this main event. So Angie Taylor will be holding an event in London Gallery, DJ'd by Eclectic Method and Victor Meldrew and Angie herself. Then the Anaya Hart Foundation Expo inside of that event. We're planning some musician performers. We're going to be live streaming in video that the street artists, so some well-known street artists that joined, and they minted for the first time to take part in this exhibition, just to be in it. And they also sent over actual footage of them doing walls, street walls and stuff. And we've actually wrapped some of the galleries in real street art. And then it's for all backgrounds and all ages. So we have little girls in the show too. So it's just going to be a fun event. Everybody should try to get out. It'll be all week long, and different places to visit, different things going on throughout the week. And Graffiti Kings, as always, will be hosting the parties, after parties. So fun things to happen. Oh, again, April 3rd through the 10th. Yeah.
Love it. Really excited for that. And just wanted to thank you so much for taking the time to jump on the show with Rizzle and myself, kind of unpacking your history and then the history of the space. It's really a pleasure to finally be able to talk to you, and just really hope that you keep creating and doing you.
Thank you so much. It's been such a great time to be with you guys and talk about all this. Appreciate inviting me on the show.
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening to this week's episode. Just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Proof of Beauty. Proof of Beauty is an experimental digital experience studio. The blockchain is their canvas and the tokens are their brush. You can learn more about Proof of Beauty by checking out pob.studio. You can follow them on Twitter as well at PRRF Beauty. That's PRRF Beauty on Twitter, and pob.studio on their homepage to learn more about their projects like Hash, London, and Publico. Thank you, and see you in the next episode.